Hello, lovely people. Thank you so much for joining me today. And today is a big day because finally I'm making video I always really wanted to make about the art advice, which is just draw every day. And I always wanted to make a video about this advice for a couple of reasons. First, it's awesome advice. Like, it's really great, but it tends to be given to people at the wrong time, and it also ties up to a lot of other things that you may not be aware of yet. Things like discipline, things like motivation, things like building the habits. And we're gonna discuss today all of those things, and this is why I'm happy. This is also why this video is gonna be slightly bit longer than it usually is. It's simply a lot to cover. And since I'm basically talking over my painting process, I highly invite you to just draw along and like do something super useful while you are listening to me. So, talking about just draw every day. And let's look at this advice because sometimes it's given into a little bit of context, which is like, just draw every day, not long, maybe something like 15 minutes a day, but just make sure you kind of have this habit of like doing the same thing every single day. And the thing is, for some reason, we really have this weird imagination of drawing that is different from anything else. So let's think about different thing. Imagine I will tell you, okay, you're gonna start running and you're gonna start running every single day, just 15 minutes. Like 15 minutes doesn't seem like a long time, right? Like we can do it with art. Everyone's giving us advice to like just draw 15 minutes a day. But what's gonna happen after a week? After a week of drawing every single day for 15 minutes, you're gonna be exhausted. You're gonna be like dead. You're gonna need time to rest. Like your muscles are gonna basically like scream, like, give me a break, human. I just want a shower. I just want like hot water. Don't leave the bed today. And for some reason, like we don't think about art in the same way, but like brain is like a muscle in a way. Like it gets tired. It gets tired the same way your leg are getting tired. So when we are new and when we are just starting with drawing, like sketching every single day or drawing every single day, it's just not a good idea. Better idea would be drawing every second day. And the same with running, right? You would have like, okay, instead of 15 minutes, half an hour every second day. At least you will have this one day to rest. Obviously, I think it's still pretty hardcore to just like run for half an hour. I cannot do that. Like I'm a nerd. I sit in front of my PC all the time. Especially, I wouldn't be able to like just do it right now. If I would go and run, I would probably like do like 5 minutes and be exhausted and be like, oh, take my lungs out of my body. I can't breathe or something. And it's the same with art. And it's gonna be the same with anything you try for the first time. It's gonna be the same with like studying, like languages, like history, like reading, like any type of physical sport. Like you will get tired if something is new for you. So we wanna figure out how we want to reach a point of like, you know, when we can and how can we reach this thing that we will be able to draw every single day. Because it's doable. I'm doing it now. I wake up every day like at 6 a.m. and I draw for a few hours. I have a dinner and then what do? Like I go back to drawing like every single day. Maybe once every couple of months I have like a reset kind of space, but like that's it. And you can do it with like most of the things. It's just like you have to get yourself in the process of doing those things. And this process is not easy. And basically, if I could compare it to something, I would say learn how to walk before you run. This is precisely how I would put it. So let's think this way. What, instead of running every day or drawing every day for 15 minutes, what would happen if we would have a goal to do throughout the week? So let's say I want to run this distance and I have whole week. So for the drawing, I would say something like, okay, I want to make a full page of drawing throughout this week. It's much more realistic. You can manage your time, you giving yourself flexibility, and flexibility is insanely important in building habits and in arts, and we're gonna talk a little bit more about it shortly. And you, in a way, not setting yourself up for failure, because I'm telling you right away, if you just picked pencil and paper, it's your first time drawing, and you're telling yourself, okay, from now on I'm gonna draw every single day, like, you are setting yourself up for a failure. 100%. I saw it happen to people over and over again. Obviously, there are exceptions from this rule, but I will treat you the same way I would treat myself, because I did attempt to follow this advice when I started, and it just wasn't very good for me. Why? Because let's say on Monday I managed to draw, on Tuesday I managed to draw, and then Wednesday came and I had a very difficult day at work. I had argument with someone at the house, and then I would just like overall feel terrible. I would be extremely exhausted, and on top of that, on top of all those bad things that, you know, happened throughout the day, I added like extra layer of not fulfilling my goal, of not meeting expectations I set up for myself. And long story short, it's not ideal, right? Like, you're gonna be in this space when you're basically like spiraling in your head, like, I'm lazy, I'm terrible, I can't even sacrifice 15 minutes. Like, it's not ideal place. Instead, you want to trick yourself. You want to trick yourself, and you want to create this simple association in your head, which is basically art equals good time. And this is the best way to actually learn and motivate yourself to do the same thing every single day. And it works for me. So, as I mentioned, we want to have good time. We talk about what's gonna happen when we have a bad time. So let's do the same thing for the good thing. Let's say it's Wednesday and middle of the week, working week that is, and I already did full page of sketches. What's gonna happen to me? I'm gonna feel awesome. I'm gonna feel amazing. I may not be happy with, like, you know, drawing itself. I may not be happy with my skill level, but I'm gonna feel happy because I committed and I finalized this commitment, and I also did this commitment like so quickly. It's just Wednesday. I still have the whole week to basically finish and do more stuff. So what am I gonna do? Am I gonna like sit down and be lazy? No, because I'm gonna be like, oh my god, I finished like this full page of sketches. This is so awesome. I'm gonna make another one. And then I'm gonna make another one. You basically create this association of like art good, as mentioned before, and you want to follow it. Like, imagine it like a happy motivational wave you're creating, and you wanna ride it. Like, I've been riding it for years, and it's awesome. Like, it really helps. But there is a chance that when I said let's make one page of drawing a week, you thought, okay, I'm gonna be super extra, I'm gonna be ambitious, and I'm gonna make like 5 pages. Like, please avoid that. Do not do that. Obviously, like, being ambitious is like really good. However, you don't want to overwork yourself, and you want to make sure the art is not stressing you out. I saw time and time again people having unrealistic expectation towards themselves and quitting straight up quitting, didn't pick up art since then. Even though they were like extremely skilled and talented people, they just created this association with art that was like so bad, so negative. They had no other option but basically just give up. And we don't want you to give up. We want you to be a really good artist, like hopefully soon. So for this reason, like, please don't be too hard on yourself. In a way, those guys who quit, they were kind of trying to run a marathon instead of just like warming up and jogging. I think that's a very fair comparison, and please avoid that. And also, sadly, I fall down in this trap a couple of years ago, like I think 2 years ago. I would push myself extremely hard. I would be like, okay, I have to draw like 12 hours a day or something. And I kept doing that. I kept doing literally every single day. I managed to put this amount of hours into drawing, but I felt horrible. I felt horrible and I felt awful because it was never enough. It was like never enough, and I didn't leave time for this flexibility. As I mentioned before, I didn't leave myself time to enjoy life, basically. And you have to enjoy life. I would cut out myself completely from any entertainment. If I would feel like playing a game and I would start playing a game, I would feel like, oh, it's so bad, I'm so lazy. So I couldn't enjoy anything. And I also like would limit contact with my friends because I would feel very bad and very guilty about going out. I would be like, oh, why am I out having fun with people that I love when I can be like miserable home and achieve something faster? And you probably hear it and you think that's insanely unhealthy, because it is insanely unhealthy. It's really, really bad for you, and please avoid it because it's a trap, and it's so easy to fall into this trap if we are ambitious. But the question is, how do we take it from there, right? We finished week 1, we did awesome sketches, maybe we did even some more extra work. Next week, same thing, next week, same thing, and over and over and over again. You don't have to think that much about it. You don't have to keep some kind of calendar and tick mark boxes at the very early stages, because the habit comes very naturally if you create a safe space for you. Basically, if you, as I mentioned before, combine drawing with like feeling good, you will naturally want to draw on your own. Like, you won't need any external force. Like, it will make you happy. But you may have problem even with one, with smaller goals. Some people do have these problems, especially like, people like me who were very like messy and all over the place. I would say I was never disciplined. I would say I was never very focused. Doing anything for an extended period of time was extremely difficult for me, and kind of, changing my career from being flight attendant and like having all those, external things happening, like traveling places, and changing it into like sitting every day and drawing for hours was extremely difficult journey. I definitely lack discipline, and discipline is also a thing I want to talk about because it has some negative connotation. A lot of people like tie up discipline with punishment for like not obeying certain stuff. But I think discipline can be also created through positive association. So basically, if we're having good time, as I mentioned, you have more power and you have more willingness to do those things that are sometimes hard for you. And for you, that may be, getting into habit of drawing every day, or for, some more skilled people is, trying more difficult things in art, or like studying something you really don't like I'm character artist, I'm having hard time with, environments. So I had to learn to kind of discipline myself into doing those things. And the process is precisely the same. Positive association, small steps, it's all you need to do, and it's all you need to follow. And over the time, those things will come naturally to you. But if you have hard time, there exists something like a reward system, and I use it as well, which means basically, if after finishing page of sketches and you don't have this boost because you feel really awful because I don't know, the quality wasn't good, those sketches, you did them but you are not happy with them, even though I know in my heart they were probably really beautiful, you may not feel this way because it's normal. A lot of artists, we tend to be very hard on ourselves. But in this case, you could trick yourself once again into rewarding yourself. And I do it when I pick up something extremely hard. Like if I do some insanely difficult project for a portfolio, I'm always telling myself okay, once you finish it and it's done, you're gonna go and eat sushi. Sushi is pretty pricey where I live, and I'm a huge fan of it. So it's a good motivation when I see it and I draw and I constantly think about salmon rolls. It really helps for me. And you may not be fan of it, but you can pick up a reward that works for you. For example, okay, when I finish with this, I can watch a movie or episode or buy ice cream or play a game or something like that. Basically, if just first wave of motivation didn't work for you, you can try having reward for the goals as long as you finish the goal. Don't also do a cheat thing when you're oh yeah, I'm almost finished, I will do this good thing. No, try to discipline yourself in a way through small steps to create those habits and to basically create for yourself an environment in which you can do things and in which you are motivated to do things. And I also wanted to talk about the motivation, and you may probably have had this advice, not necessarily in art, but also in art. Remember why you started. I personally started because I played a lot of games and I thought, oh my god, games are awesome, how do you do them? Oh, there's a concept art, you can create characters, awesome, I'm gonna do it, I love it right away. And this is why I started. And sometimes there are days when I do have problems with disciplining myself, I do have problems with, drawing. Those days happen very rarely, I want to say, thank you very much, but they do happen. So what do I do then? As I said, I remember why I started. I either flip one of my art books that I really love and really value. I sometimes play games that I really love. And it's also not only motivation boost, but it's also reward for me that I get to do those things. And because I love those things so much, I have only positive things to say and only positive things tied up to art. And art, it's not easy. Art is hard, and with art there will be a lot of negative feelings that you have, self-doubt, imposter syndrome, art blocks, feeling you're not good enough, etc., feeling that you don't have progress. Those things will happen to you, sadly, although I hope somehow you can avoid them, but they will happen to you. They happen to most of the artists. So if you create this positive space around art, it's gonna be much easier for you to combat those. But you may have some different motivation source. You may be a huge fan of someone else's art, so maybe studying your favorite artist or looking at their work, it may help you. Or maybe you're a writer and you want to create some type of story, or make a comic book or something like this. So remember why you started and make those things kind of fill out all your surroundings, all your space. Like always try to have those good stuff around you. And for me, that's how I created habits, like having realistic goal, definitely not setting up myself for failure, having this moment of joy when I'm drawing, also extremely important. In some, like, you know, extra difficult cases, I had set up reward system, like I mentioned before, and combination of all those things literally made me into person who wakes up every day at 5 a.m. and draw and draw and draw, and I'm happy. It makes me genuinely happy. And sometimes I don't draw, I go out, I'm having fun with my friends, and it's cool. And I have this attitude that like right now I can enjoy those things because I'm not stressed about the art, because like I also understand that you need to have rest and you can't be too hard to yourself. So remember that it's all about small steps, taking small steps, all about like, you know, nice realistic goals and about being happy. And that's basically it. Thank you so much guys for joining me today. If you need some further explanation or you think something was not clear, please kindly let me know in the comments below or on Instagram, anywhere you feel like. And thank you so much for watching, and see you in the next one.